Hey, you guys, welcome back to the Vinyl Countdown. I'm Peaches. This is episode 23. All right? Okay. Oh, man, I'm sitting here at the table. I just pressed record on the old video recorder there, having some coffee, and you guys, we got to talk. I'm serious. You know, I goof off all the time and stuff. And it's all fun and games, but man, I'm telling you, I had a little bit of a culture shock this morning. I needed some help. Where were you guys? Yeah, I'm telling you, let me explain. We've gone through about 22 episodes of 80s hair metal that will blow your mind. Okay, I pulled out at least 350 records and went A to Z with you guys on the 80s metal collection. And all I could think about when I sat down at this table this morning is, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do now? And this big thing of fear came over me. I'm like, I got people out there watching my channel. What am I going to do? and it hit me really hard, And so I sat here and I drank a little bit of coffee like I'm doing right now. Daddy liked coffee. So I sat here and I thought about it, and it started freaking me out. So what I did was I walked up to my collection here, and I started looking at the whole other side of the 80s. Yeah, there is another whole side of the 80s for you guys. And so I started poking in there, and I started pulling out a few albums, and I'm like telling myself, Peaches, are you kidding me? What do you mean, what are you going to talk about? And I started pulling out a few more. And it's like all of a sudden I'm coming to the conclusion of, it's not, what are you going to do now, Peaches? It's like, it's, where are you going to start, Peaches? Because once this stuff starts flooding back and you start pulling it out, there is another whole side of the 80s, ladies and gentlemen, that is giant. Giant. And when I mean giant, it's a decade of decadence, okay? When you look at the description underneath my channel, it says, let's sit back, relax, and talk about the decade of decadence. And that is one word that I can use to sum up the 80s. The decade of decadence. Okay? And if you guys don't know the definition of that word, but you can look it up if you want to. Because Siri don't live here. Yeah. Siri does not live here on the Vinyl Countdown. All right? So now that I'm overwhelmed with this big flood of, oh my God, what am I going to do? There is so much to talk about. I had to write some stuff down. Okay? To get me going here. And once this starts rolling, who knows what's going to happen, because the 80s was a crazy, crazy decade. You know what I'm saying? And when it comes to the metal end of the things, let's back up a little bit. We have to admit, okay, I'm a metalhead through and through, okay? I bleed it out of my arm. I've told you guys 100 times about my love for metal, and I've shown you 350 records to prove my love for 80s metal, all right? But there's something that we have to come to the conclusion on and admit as metalheads, okay? That 80s metal was this much of music back then. Yeah. It was really a small part of the 80s, metal was. And it was that way for a reason, because it was unaccepted in society. It was unaccepted by a lot of people's parents. As kids back then, it was unacceptable by our parents or our grandparents or society in general. And one of the examples of it not being accepted was, do you remember the huge reputation that Ozzy Osbourne got? Yeah, Ozzy Osbourne, he's a bad person. Yeah, he's a bad person. And then, we end up in congressional hearings with Dee Snider from Twisted Sister trying to defend the heck out of metal music when it was such a small part of it anyways, I mean, there were other genres involved. I mean, they were talking about Prince music and all that stuff and all the crazy lyrics and things like that. But 80s metal was that big. You know what I'm saying? Compared to the rest of the world and the rest of the United States and the rest of the music world. I'm telling you. So I came up with a list of how to describe the 80s the best I can and to give you some PowerPoints, all right? I never done a PowerPoint, but Whatever. Let's give that a try once, huh? I don't know if this is a PowerPoint or not. But man, before we get started, let's talk about this again. You know, I told you guys in another episode that I just picked this up. This is a Cher Farewell Tour book. Okay? It's got tons of pictures of Cher in it, doing her thing, you know. And I started thinking of words like sexy, fashion, glamour, you know, over the top. And that's seasoning. Those words, you know, like discovery and variety and party in a box and individuality started, I don't know, the salt and pepper was starting to get poured on the recipe there with Cher. And this brings up another whole subject. What was missing from 80s hair metal? Girls. Yeah, there were a few that broke down the walls, like Girls School and Vixen and Lita Ford, and they made it. You know, they were kind of the tomboys of that era that broke into that metal section, you know what I'm saying? But, oh man, when I started going through the A's, just the A's and the B's of my 80s other stuff collection, a tsunami of girls showed up. Just in the A's and B's. And I'm telling you, and that's where they were all hanging out. Cher was a huge, huge influence on them. I'm looking through here and I'm going, I can't believe how big of an influence she really was to all these girls in the 80s and the 80s music. Man. And you're gonna see what I'm talking about here pretty soon. Definitely. So yeah, there's one thing. That's where all the girls were. And girls were big fans of a lot of this other stuff in the 80s. That's what they listened to back then. And whether we would like to admit it or not, I think we had our ear to the wall when our sisters and our friends and our brother, you know, we had our ears to the wall as metalheads as well, listening to a little bit of that other stuff from the 80s too, you know what I'm saying? So, I'm going to get back to this list that I was talking about. And this list consists of a bunch of terms that I can use to describe the 80s. You know, and I would give my left arm to take you guys back there with me and live it. I swear to God. It was just amazing. So what I got here is terms like over the top, sex, money, fashion, individuality, party in a box. We'll get to that, okay? Party in a box, variety, and discovery, okay? All of these things as terms were what you could sum up the 80s. You know what I'm saying? And you got that list right there from me right now. And if this doesn't qualify for all the terms on that list, I do not know what will. Top Gun. Yeah, okay, let's review that list again. Over the top, sexy, money, fashion, individuality, party in a box, variety, and discovery. Okay, this movie blew the 80s doors right off. If you have not seen this movie, Top Gun, in all of its cheesy glory, okay, you need to go back and rediscover the 80s and start from the beginning, okay? This movie took this decade by storm, and it was an absolute definition of the 80s, wrapped up in a shell. Definitely. It had everything on this list, man. You guys remember this movie? Remember the first time you saw it? I remember the first time I saw it, I was at my junior high lock-in. Remember those? Did you guys ever have these? Okay, the junior high lock-in. You remember the first time you danced with a girl? Yeah. We had a DJ in the gymnasium, and all the rooms in the junior highs had something different going on, okay? And when I use the term lock-in meant that your mom and dad dropped you off at 3 o'clock, and they didn't come and pick you up until 8 o'clock the next day in the morning. Yeah, it was a 18, 20-hour extravaganza where you got locked into the school, and you got to run around like your head was cut off like a chicken and do whatever you want. We had music, a DJ, we had movies going, food, candy, running around, playing games, doing contests. In junior high, yeah, it was an awesome time. And one of the movies that had just came out Oh, excuse me. One of the movies that had just came out was this. And you could all sit in the gymnasium and watch it on the big TV. Man, that was the first time I saw this movie, laying on a gym floor at a lock-in in my junior high. Whoa, 80s. Yeah, okay. Now, let's go back to this list again and talk about the term party in a box. Okay, when I say party in a box, I'm talking about the other term, individuality. The 80s was a time when people started really looking at themselves in the mirror and trying to become who they were as an individual. And it was becoming a part of the new discovery of your individuality and making yourself look like a party in a box. And you guys remember what the fashion was like back then. Do you remember friendship pins? Do you remember those pins that you used to put beads on a safety pin and you used to line them up on your sneakers and your friends would give them to you? So you'd get these beaded safety pins and, oh, you're my friend, here, have one of those pins. In junior high, yeah, remember that? And then you would line your sneakers up with all these pins that you got from your friends. So we're all running around in our high tops and our holy jeans like Def Leppard wannabes with all these friendship pins all over our sneaker laces. Remember that? Yeah. So you were trying to get into this cool fashion and individuality and stuff. And when I say party in a box, you know, it was the makeup and the hairdo. I got a cool hairdo. Look at me. I got some cool hoop earrings. Look at me. I got an awesome makeup job. Look at me. Look at my fancy clothes. Hey, and I can fit into anything that you do because I'm a party in a box. And that's what you wanted to be back then. As an individual, I'm a party in a box and I can hang with anybody. And if there is anyone that I can put on the table right now for you guys to describe that, it would be this chick. Paula Abdul. Look at me. Look at my fancy hairdo and my hoop earrings and my awesome makeup job and my fancy sexy clothes. And I'm over the top. I'm sexy. I'm money. I'm fashion. I'm an individual. I'm a party in a box. I'm variety and discovery. This album had so many hits, I cannot even tell you. And here's another thing. You guys know I'm a diehard metal fan, but she can sit on my record player anytime. I will tell you that right now. Look at that list of songs. Does that not let the memories come flashing through? Oh my goodness. What's the first song on this album? The first song. The Way That You Love Me. Don't you remember that? It's just the way that you love me. Yeah. Just the way that you love me. Do you remember her from American Idol? She was one of the judges on American Idol. She was drunk most of the time, I think. But, yeah. She was on that show, American Idol. Remember Kelly Clarkson? I think she was the first winner of that. Yeah. Okay, so let's continue with our list. If you want to talk about over-the-top, sexy, money, fashion, individuality, party in a box, and variety and discovery, yeah, the big term is fashion. When it comes to this gal, Madonna. Oh, you guys know as well as I do that this may have well been Lady Gaga in the 80s. You cannot tell me Lady Gaga didn't get half of her super juice from Madonna. And like I said, this chick is a whole other video and a whole other category, you guys. Madonna ruled the 80s like the queen that she is. You know, and even as a metalhead, you can say, yeah, Like a Prayer, Papa Don't Preach, Like a Virgin. Dude, that was all the stuff that I heard in the other room. And I'm telling you, I am here to admit that I had my ear to the wall. Yeah, as a metalhead, I had my ear to the wall when it came to this chick. Wow, if that doesn't say 80s, you guys, I don't know what does. You know, you want to get your doors blasted off right now even more than that? From what I've already showed you? Let's go to the extreme side of things. How does that sound? Yeah, let's hit the highway and blast off into space and talk about this. Culture Club. Yeah, Boy George. Look at that girl, girl. Whoa, was that a pretty guy? Boy George and Culture Club. Is that not over the top enough for you? Is that not sexy money, fashion, individuality? Party in a box? Look at me. I'm cool. I got hairdo and makeup and a fancy hat. And I'll fit into any party you want to go to. That was what it was all about, you guys. Variety and discovery. That's on the extreme end of variety. And what a thing to discover. Boy George. It's another whole subject again. Man. Over the top. Purple Rain. Prince. This guy hit the 80s like a nuke. I'm telling you, man. Prince and the Revolution. Probably one of the most influential parts of the 1980s, man. You know, it was a slim fan base back then, but you want to talk about taking the world by storm. When this movie came out, it defined the rest of the decade. New discovery, variety, sexy, over-the-top, fashion, individuality, party in a box. What do you want to do? Can you imagine partying with Prince himself? Or Apollonia, or Sheila E., or Sheena Easton, or Doctor? Yeah. Man. I can't even imagine it. You like pancakes? Definitely. Just think about it. Think about that movie Purple Rain the first time you saw it. It's got Wisconsin cheddar all over it right now, but I'm telling you what, man, I will put it in my player today and watch it again. Not a problem. You know, and when you talk about variety, when you talk about another whole side of the 80s, when you talk about icons of all time, you remember these guys? Survivor, Eye of the Tiger. Yeah, Rocky. What? If you don't know the term Rocky Balboa, we really got to start over. Like I said, you guys, it wasn't just metal in the 80s, man. These guys were almost metal. I would almost put these guys in the metal category, I'm telling you. I'm calling them metal. Screw everybody else. They're metal. Right here on the countdown, I'm declaring this Survivor album to be metal. Definitely. Eye of the Tiger, the thrill of the fight. Rising up to the challenge of our rivals. Dude. 80s. Over the top. Sexy. Man. You know, we're going off to the left. We're going off to the right. We're going up and down. And we might as well go spin in around and around and around, man. Because if this guy doesn't make you dizzy, I don't know who will. Weird Al. Do you guys remember Weird Al? How many times did you laugh your butt off at the Eat It song? Yeah, Eat It. I got that record. It's up on the wall, and I'll show you later. But this guy, this Weird Al guy, he was a comedian. And he was the only guy doing it. He had his own corner of the market in the 80s as a guy that would go and take somebody else's music and put totally different words to it and make it absolutely hilarious. Okay? And this guy was hilarious. He's even got the glasses I wore in the 80s in high school. Yeah, I had those glasses. But yeah, this is supposed to represent the Michael Jackson album, but it's not Michael Jackson. It's Weird Al. The songs that this guy made were just ridiculous. And part of that individual, you know, I'm a party in a box. I'm an individual. I set myself aside. And it's a new discovery for you. And here I am. And I'm a party in a box. You know, I can chill with you. I'm Weird Al. You know what I'm saying? You know, and here, we're spinning around. We're going right and left. We're going upside down. You know, But who doesn't remember these guys? Everything I'm showing you today is iconic in the world and created an influence for so many people. George Michael, Wham. Yeah. Ooh, ah, ah, ooh, ah, ah, ooh, ah, oh, ooh, ah, oh. I do it. La, 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 la. Somebody tell me, won't you tell me no? Yeah. Why I work so hard for you. George Michael. You remember that song, I Want Your Sex? This guy, okay, here's the list again. Over the top, sexy, money, fashion, individuality, party in a box, variety, and discovery. I can say those words over and over again, and it describes everything in a nutshell that I'm showing you. George Michael, 1 million hits, and all of this stuff, you guys, everything, all these records, early MTV. These were the founding fathers of MTV. Fathers and mothers of MTV, man. Boom, boom, bada boom, 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 boom. Okay? They just kept coming like wildfire back then. And everybody was an individual and everybody was different. So hopefully this will be a little example for you guys right here on the Vinyl Countdown of what is in store for the rest of the 80s, man. And I think things are just going to get a little crazy here. I don't know if you've watched the last few episodes of the Vinyl Countdown, but that might just be the tip of the iceberg. It might be the tip of the iceberg for the Vinyl Countdown. So, yeah, we're going to start pulling up stuff out of here that I think most of you really, really did love about the 80s. And it was, like I said, 3, 4, 5 times more insane than just the metal end of things. All right? Well, this is all I'm going to do for this episode, and I want you guys to have a great night, okay? And start thinking about all those memories from the 80s, because from what I can see so far, from the way I'm talking to people out there, all it does is put this big, giant smile on your face and makes you just happy, all right? And that's all we want to do here on the Vinyl Countdown, all right? So you guys have a great night, and thanks for coming over to Peaches on the Vinyl Countdown.